ready to roll, and joined with us today, Director of Meteorological Services for WeatherWorks based in Hackettstown, New Jersey. Also, the guy who hired me for my first weather job, Rob Reale. Rob, thanks for hopping on today.
What's going on, Joe? Yeah, you've come a long way since, what was that, man? It was like 6 or 8 years ago. It was a long time ago.
It was, I think my first day was like the last week of November 2013.
Okay, so like a good 8 years ago. Wow.
That was a good 8 years ago.
And yeah, I was there hiring you. Now you're here inviting me on. So it's kind of gone full circle. So thanks for having me.
Hey, listen, no problem. Least I can do. I wanted to talk with you guys because, one, we usually catch up with you guys, in the fall to talk about the winter ahead. But two, listen, I worked there for 4 years before I came here. Obviously, you did great work. So, want to keep it going. And you guys are in New Jersey. So it's all good things in my book here. Just kind of tell me how the past couple of weeks have been for you guys for your operations. And I'll say this for those, who aren't familiar, WeatherWorks is a consulting company. So they're primarily working with individual businesses or, organizations to help with their weather. The way I like to describe it, Rob, and I used to do sales, right? Was like kind of like a white glove service for weather. Basically,
if a lot of road departments too, Atlantic County, all through those areas, townships, county level as well, landscapers, contractors, schools, all the above we service. And yeah, it's kind of like if your business or your operations are heavily influenced by weather, then we're here for you and we can provide all the consultation and in-depth forecast that you need. And yeah, we've been doing this since, not me personally, but the company's been around since '86, and our core always has been New Jersey, and it continues to be the same way today. So and I think you're asking how has it been the last couple of weeks. It was a pretty tame December, to say the least. And then all of a sudden the flip kind of got switched. And the last 2 to 3 weeks have been pretty crazy, and looks like it's going to continue to be cold and active for the next couple of weeks. But I guess I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, right? I assume that's what we're getting at.
We're going to get there.
I don't want to spoil anything.
No, you're good. You're good. I was going to say one thing too, I love snow, more snow the better. But I will say, these storms, I would prefer if they came on like a Tuesday to a Friday. We're getting hit with these Mondays, Sundays things. I remember, WeatherWorks, just for scheduling, right? More people during the week than the weekend. That was always a pain. And then, even for me, we had that January 3rd storm on a Monday all weekend long, all, New Year's weekend long. That's what you're doing. So I'm not complaining. I like the snow. We're at 17.2 inches at Lancaster International Airport. I think, this is going out on the 19th, right? So we're tracking what's happening for the weekend. Could be another busy weekend for us.
It looks like it. And I 100% agree. If every day if it only snowed on Wednesdays, like that would be perfect. Right. I'll take a Tuesday or a Thursday as well. It could snow all at once during that period, but yeah, I could do without the weekend stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you here.
Yeah. I guess all right, let's perspectives. It depends what side, if you're at home, you might enjoy a nice weekend snow, but when you're working, you prefer it to be during the weekdays. But hey, we can't have everything how we want it at all times. And I agree. I'm with you. I'm a snow lover. That's one of the reasons I got into this. So again, I'm complaining, but I'm not really complaining.
Right. I understand. We're just finding things to talk about.
Basically.
All right. Let's talk about actual things here. Let's talk about the rest of the winter ahead. Just to recap where we are so far. Lancaster International Airport, like I said, 17.2 inches. That is the 4th highest season to date since records started in 1943-44. Could go up depending on what happens this weekend. Lower Township has 14 inches. Rob, that's the site of our South Jersey snowfall contest too, where people are guessing how much snow would fall in Lower Township in the month of January. We had 89 people sign up. We have 5 people left.
I was going to say, I'm guessing a lot of low balls this year, huh?
There were a lot of low balls, and I don't blame anybody because the past 2 winters have not been much. But anyway, 6.4 inches though in Newark. Philadelphia is 4.6. So, just real quick, and then I do want to get to the future, but in about 30 seconds, what has been happening where really the coast, we'll say, has been cashing in on some of these snow events?
Yeah, I guess I mean, it's a little bit about luck and how things time out, right? Because really, it's sort of been the same in terms of snowiness, or even a little bit snowier as you head north and west, minus one snow event, right? And one snow event can kind of change everything. So Newark, Allentown, Philadelphia, Atlantic City, minus that one January 3rd snowstorm, are all about the same, if not slightly higher to the north and west. So it was really just about that one storm happened to time out just right. And overall, like we're going to talk about as well, the pattern is been pretty conducive for not just those Northwest and 95 events. It's been conducive for snow all the way to the coast. But really, I think the difference so far, it really just boils down to that one storm happened to be further south as opposed to the north.
So let's turn to the future now. You've said it. It looks like we're going to remain fairly cold and active, but I'm just going to kind of turn the floor over to you and just kind of where are we at, for the rest of the winter? What are your thoughts on WeatherWorks?
Yeah, I mean, really for the next couple of weeks through the end of January and probably the beginning of February, I don't really see much in the way of a change coming. So what we've seen since, the ball dropped in 2022 started, I think we see more of that for at least 2 or 3 more weeks, which basically means that it's going to be relatively troughy in the east, which indirectly means it's going to be colder and fairly active. So I would anticipate continued below normal temperatures and probably above normal snowfall, at least through the next 2 or 3 weeks.
And that pretty much lines up with what Jim Sullivan, who also WeatherWorks, said when we spoke back in October. So it looks like, right, to me, I mean, your forecast isn't changing too much, right?
Not really. No, I mean, I think we thought December might be a little colder. But outside of that, no, I mean, January was kind of the month that we were targeting to be the snowiest. And then we were kind of figuring, hey, the second half of winter, and especially as you head towards spring, we might have an early spring. Yeah. And I'm guessing we'll get there in a second. But that's still pretty much what we're thinking is most of winter will be the next 3 weeks. We'll squeeze out whatever snow we can get. And then I think as we head from, mid-February onward, snow is going to be increasingly difficult to get down in South Jersey.
Yeah, March is always tough for us. I mean, I when I first started, it was winter of 17, 18. We did actually have 4 nor'easters that month, and we did actually pick up snow. But other than that, I mean, a little further south, sun's a little bit stronger, ocean's a little bit, warmer. And one of the things too, people forget, right? Especially when you're looking at the coast. Monmouth County, right, on a northeast wind is a lot of times blowing off of New England, so it can be a little bit colder. But if you're in Atlantic City or Cape May, northeast wind is still pretty much the ocean. So you are going to get a little bit of a moderating influence. And that's really what made that January 3rd storm special. That low pressure system was, far enough away where our winds were north or northeast. As we go into winter. So, as we went into the day there. So, with the way that you see the jet stream shaping up, when you say cold and active, and just to clarify, you also mean the southern part of the state as well.
Yeah, I think I mean everywhere. And, it's funny you mentioned the January 3rd storm, because a couple of days beforehand, I called my dad. He lives in Long Beach Island. Yeah. And I think he was out like at the driving range or something, because it was in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
And I was like, you better enjoy it because you're going to snow in a couple of days. It's like, the water's warm this time of year. We're not going to get any snow. I was like, not really. The winds are going to be more north than northeast. You're going to snow. So, yeah, I think that's like a fair assumption a lot of times, especially because of how warm we were, because the waters were warmer than normal headed into early January. But, yeah, the winds being north makes a big deal as you head to Southeast Jersey and along, Atlantic City area.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I said it's still going to be active the next couple of weeks, yes, it includes the entire state of New Jersey. It really includes all of the Northeast, both the New England and the Mid-Atlantic.
One quick thing on water temps. Now we've cooled down. We're actually kind of hovering around 40 now, which is, if you're a snow lover, good news, because you want it to be colder just in case you get those onshore winds. Yeah. When we talked with Jim, he always brought up analog years, years that we could compare this to. Is there anything you guys are, now that we're halfway through winter, kind of paying attention to for the rest of winter? Is there anything that sticks out?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of years, not necessarily. And, at this point, I kind of like to look at really what the shorter term signals are, right? Like analogs are particularly useful well ahead of the season. And there's still some use to them now. But, at this point, we're really almost taking things like, every handful of weeks at a time. So it really just sort of looks like we're sort of in this pattern where, I don't know how technical you want to get, but right, there's like a plus DNA, which basically means there's a ridge over the Western US The NAO, which is kind of an index that we look at over like Greenland, is somewhat negative. So when you have a negative NAO and then a positive PNA, that helps promote troughiness or colder weather over the eastern part of the U.S. And it certainly increases the chance for storms. And really the biggest difference from December to January is the PNA. If you recall, out in December, they were getting flooding rains, crazy snowfall. The PNA was negative. They were getting all this snowfall and troughiness out there. Resultingly, we kind of had the ridge and the warmth over here. And usually it's kind of like one or the other. So when the West Coast is snowy, we're typically warm, and then vice versa. Right now, the West Coast is in a plus PNA. They're much warmer. They haven't seen nearly as much rain or snow as they did a month ago, and it sort of flipped the switch for us. So that's kind of what we're thinking for the next couple of weeks, is the same pattern is going to continue. But as we transition into February, it looks like the PNA may start trending closer to where it was. And the whole influence of La Nina, which typically has a southeast ridge over the southeast U.S., which a lot of times pumps in warm air, it's kind of like we're going to see a little bit of a reversal back to December, maybe not quite that extreme as we head through February, but something in between December and January is what February is looking like.
So I think to summarize here, we're kind of in this one, like all systems go, we're going into winter, diving in. It's going to last until maybe some point in the middle part of February, and then we pull out.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think the first or second week in February, we start to see that transition where we see more temperature fluctuations. Instead of being fairly consistently below normal, we start to see more of those above normal days. The snowfall chances start to decrease. And then, the later in February into March, you can always squeak out an event or two, but it will become increasingly difficult to do so. Not just because we're headed later into the winter and more into spring, but also the pattern's not going to be that favorable for it either.
Gotcha. Anything else you want to add about the rest of the winter here? I'm getting excited, Rob. I'm getting excited. We got weekend. We got to see what happens for the weekend. Maybe we'll squeeze out another one even after that. Anything else you want to add about the winter?
I mean, even Thursday, right? Like Thursday, you might see it's called an Anna front, right? It's going to be kind of warm on Wednesday. And then this frontal boundary will move through. For down there, it's like very tail end of Wednesday night into like Thursday.
Yeah.
You probably see some rain. You might even end up with a little bit of snow, especially as you head north and west. Saturday, or really like Friday night into Saturday midday, that one's interesting to me. And if that makes the turn around the corner, which I kind of think it will, but if it does, that could be another decent snow event targeted right at, Atlantic City, southern Jersey. So, I think there's plenty of snow to come the next couple of weeks, but even within the next couple of days, there's a couple of things to track. So if you're a snow lover, it's about as good as it gets for South Jersey, I think, right now.
Yeah, and when Rob says he likes it, that's a good thing. So we're gonna hold him to that. Everybody, listen, we're gonna hold him to it. We'll have to recap with him at the end of the month, see how we did. Rob, before we wrap up, your New Jersey map, we are bringing it back. You sent it to me. I have not opened it up yet. You are from Warren County, Morris.
I'm from all over, right? I grew up
from all over. He's Mr. Worldwide. We have Pitbull. Actually, Pitbull's actually here today. Yeah,
because I grew up in Warren County, but my family has always had a house at Long Beach Island since the 70s. So I've spent a lot of my summers there, living down there. I went to school at Rutgers. So I have a nice, mix of North Jersey, South Jersey, and dare I say Central Jersey. So I feel like I'm a pretty unbiased perspective in this whole thing because I've literally lived in each part over the last, 30 years.
Well, we'll see. He's already foreshadowing. So let's take a look at what we have. Okay. So, and we're putting this up on the screen now. So Rob, essentially, honestly, Rob, first of all, I love your North and South Jersey or Central Jersey barrier right there. Route 78. I like to carve out a little bit and keep Union into Central, which I think you have there, which is great.
I basically just follow 78.
Right. The shore, I don't agree with you on the shore because I really don't think Long Branch and Cape May people have a lot in common, but I can at least respect that you put the whole shore in there.
Yeah, they have the ocean, which is the common ground, right? And that's good enough in my book. I think you say the Jersey Shore, I think Sandy Hook down to Cape May is all Jersey Shore, and Jersey Shore is safely into South Jersey. So it's basically follow 195 until you hit the Parkway and then go up from there. I guess if you wanted to go all the way to Route 34 and go up, I wouldn't hate on that, or 35, whatever it is. But either way, yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I don't really see why there's debate. This is essentially what North, South, and Central Jersey is. If you want to quibble about a couple miles, fine, but this is, in my opinion, pretty no-brainer. But
well, it's interesting though. You're saying like LBI is like firmly south though, because the only thing with that, Rod, I agree with you like this time of year, because if you're a local in LBI, you're more in the South Jersey sphere. But you know this, I know this. A lot of people who are in LBI are mostly in the northern part of the state. There are some people from Philadelphia and South Jersey, but I feel like you have more of like that New York, northern New Jersey influence in the summer. That's
so you're talking about all the beach goers with this.
That's what I'm saying. That's
okay.
What I'm saying.
Well, I don't think that should influence where you draw these lines, just because of where people happen to flock, right? Like just because people from Philly are taking the EC Expressway and then people from New York are taking the Parkway and stopping further north. I don't necessarily think that should factor into it. I just think this is New Jersey, right? Like it is what it is. I don't know. I hadn't actually thought about, because of where people are traveling from, maybe it should be a little bit further north and south. But personally, I don't think that should impact it.
You're pure in your thinking, Rob. I might be thinking a little too hard about it. I like to put them in South Jersey during the off season, in Central Jersey during the peak season. That is me. But I also think if we really are splitting hairs, I think you need to just make 5 New Jerseys and split the shore into 2.
I could get behind that. I could get like a North Shore jersey and like a South Shore jersey. If you wanted to do that, I would be okay with that. I think it basically would be, I don't know. I think LBI is still a South Jersey, but Seaside up is certainly North Jersey if you're going to split it out there.
This is why we go well together.
Yeah, I think we finally solved it, and I don't really see how people can argue this, but I'm sure they will, right? That's
right. I'm never going to ask again. Never need to ask again in the podcast. The matter has
like, Taylor ham is better than pork roll, right? But we'll save that discussion for another day.
Listen, when you come back for next winter, we'll talk about that again. All right. We got Rob Reale, Director of Meteorological Services for WeatherWorks. Rob, where can we find out more information about WeatherWorks?
You can go to our website, weatherworksinc.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, all the above. We're actively on that. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me personally. My email is robreale @weatherworksinc.com. And Joe, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
All right, bye.
All right, so we had Rob Reale in the first half. He was talking about the winter forecast. Now we have the Jersey Shore's favorite snow guy, Mark Franz Weather on Twitter. Mark, I've been following you for years. We had a lot of loathing over the past 2 winters. How are we feeling so far?
We're feeling pretty good. We're feeling lucky so far, especially South Jersey. It's about time.
Yeah,
it's been a little bit.
I hear you. You said you got 6 inches on the January 3rd storm. I did get more than you in Pleasantville. We got 9.1, but you got 5.5 in that January 7th storm. And we'll talk about this. And then you had that severe weather. So, lots of winter so far. We're not even half done with it yet. And, I'll tell you what, right? This is going out on the 19th. We're talking about maybe 2, if not 3 more shots of snow in the next week. I mean, from a weather perspective, I mean, this is really like making up for lost time.
Absolutely. I know the last couple of years we've been slow starts. Every once in a while, we'll get a little hit here and there, but it looks like we have some sustained cold for a little bit, at least for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Snow's never guaranteed. You know how it is around here. Can never assume it could be too cold for snow. A little suppression, which concerns me a little bit. I think that might be in the works too with the next couple systems. But even with the opportunities of snow, I think we'll be happy with that. And something to track keeps us all busy. A little sane too.
Yeah. Now, I got to ask. I know usually you're working outside, you're working at night. You've been staying warm. I mean, that's kind of downside to wishing all this snow. I mean, it does get cold. You want it to be cold at the same time.
For sure. Yeah, it does stink working in the cold when it's dry and windy and there's no snow coming down. But the last couple weeks, thankfully, I shouldn't say thankfully, but I've been under the weather, let's say, and I've been home from work. So I've been able to enjoy the snowstorms from my bedroom, mainly from my bed. But I went out a little bit here and there to try to see, try to get involved and just enjoy the action for a little bit. But luckily, I got to enjoy the snow and the cold together. I know I'm returning to work soon, so right in time for the frigid colder air coming. So I'm excited for that.
Gotcha. So, you're in Forked River. You're in, we'll say, Central Ocean County. I think you posted a video on Twitter. Is it pinned to your profile? It's like best snow in 3 years.
Oh, yes. That was that, I believe, last year, not too long ago.
Last year. Okay, I thought it was correct. This year. So so what was that last year? I'm trying to think because we didn't have any super big snows.
No, we did not. It was a snow to a mix rain slop event. We had it was like kind of a last minute heavy dumping before the mix moved in. So we just had right on that rain snow line. It burst quick, maybe inch or two in the hour. And then that was pretty much it right to the sleet. It was like a very sleety, icy winter, I would say, last year. It was hard to get a full snowstorm. We had one little one, but it wasn't anything special.
Yeah, I hear you. Let's talk about what happened on Monday night. That was not snow. That was rain, and a lot of it. I was telling you before, and I should have just surprised you and told you live here while we were recording. But you, sir, had nickel-sized hail on Monday morning, and I did the research. You are now the owner of the largest hailstone in the month of January in New Jersey history. So congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It wasn't intentional, but it worked out pretty well. That's for sure.
Yeah. So that story was pretty interesting for a number of reasons. What did you find most impressive about that storm?
Honestly, I would say the back edge and the storms that were mainly offshore as well. They had a lot of rotation. There were probably, I would say, a couple water spouts out there. We're not really certain for sure, but there was a lot of action. I think maybe even a little more severe weather than we expected. Of course, when we're on the eastern side of the systems, we're more capable and more prone to the severe side and all the severe weather. So it's not shocking or, it's not random or uncommon, I guess you could say. But being on the eastern side, we had more rotation, more severe weather. Sorry if I can cut some pieces out of that. I know it was a little chippy with the talk there. But
keep rolling. We're rolling. I'm not even touching.
No, you're good. But yeah, no. So I was pretty shocked at the ending, the tail end with the severe weather with the hail. The wind was okay for a couple hours there by the bay. I would say it was the worst. Sustained easily 30 to 40 for a while there. The gusts, I was trying to get some readings. It was a little difficult. Couldn't really stand up or see much. The rain was like blasting me in the face. So it was a little tough to even breathe for a minute there. But the ending for me, not because I was in it, of course, but I think the ending part, severe weather, was probably the most interesting. I know Northwest Jersey, I have a couple followers that wound up getting I want to say 4 to 6 inches of snow maybe in some spots before the mixing. So I guess they have different opinions on what the best part of it was. But I think the ending was a little interesting, a little more impressive than I think we thought. But we're okay.
I was definitely at one point in time they put out something called a mesoscale discussion by the Storm Prediction Center. And for those who don't know, that's pretty much like highlighting the potential for widespread severe weather. Now, it didn't turn into a severe thunderstorm watch or anything, but that's pretty, middle of the night, January, just kind of crazy. So, Mark, you're covering, you're in Forked River. I know, you're Aaron, your love-hate relationship with what the weather brings your way to all of New Jersey. What's kind of been the vibe from your followers about this January? Do you have a mostly snow lover vibe, or you have snowbirds or want to be snowbirds vibe?
I think it's a snow lovers vibe for sure. They're definitely more out and about than the others. There are a few that absolutely hate snow. Then they let me know. They make sure to chime in saying, please keep it away. I wish I could. I can't really control the weather. If I could, they probably wouldn't be too happy. That's for sure. It would snow a little more. But I would say definitely Team Snow is the trend, I guess you could say, on Twitter going. But yeah, a lot more Team Snow going on. Hopefully a couple more systems this week. To maybe ease the pain a little more, so we won't really, need snow for the rest of the way. But I don't think that'll ever just disappear. I think we'll always just need some snow. But
yeah, I hear it. And for the people who didn't listen, because we didn't listen to you, we had you on, I think, about this time last year. How did you get interested in weather?
In the weather, 96. I was a little tiny baby.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best scenario. It was my mother. I was at my aunt's house. My aunt and my mother got in a little argument, debate, and then we were all excited because we were going to play in the snow, me and my cousins and all that. But then we wound up going home, and because we didn't drive over there, so we got to walk home in the snow. And all I can remember was just, I'm assuming the snow piles from plowing the streets, but to see the snow over my head, I wasn't afraid. I wasn't scared. I was a little tiny then, but I think I knew at that point what I loved and enjoyed. I remember smiling. I know it's really strange to remember, but I remember looking at it and just getting really happy. So I think from that point on, I knew what snow was, and I knew that I could play in it. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. So ever since then, I've kind of got into it more. And I will add, my father, also growing up, had visitation with him and all that. Wasn't with him all the time, but whenever we were together, we're snow chasing, snow squall chasing, storm tracking together. So he really helped spice up my love and interest for it. So I thank him for that.
Yeah. Awesome, man. All right. So anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Yeah, I guess I do want to talk about the Friday, Saturday. Thursday looks like a little light rain, a light snow. Looks like we could still get a little accumulation, even though timing's a little iffy with some marginal temps. But Friday, Saturday,
too, I would say for South Jersey, and if you're along the coast, it's coating. If you're further inland, something too. Yeah.
Hey, we'll take it. What the heck, right?
Yeah, listen, take it any way we can.
All right, and the Friday, Saturday. For now, my gut is keeping things a little further south. We've seen this before. I think like you mentioned to me earlier, similar to January 3rd and some aspects of it. Further south you go, the better shot. But we know how these things go. You can't look away. Last minute surprises. So, but it doesn't always work out that way. So don't assume, don't expect, and just let it happen. It's the only way you can do it.
Just let it happen. Yeah, I agree that I don't know if this is the big storm for us, but I think it has January 3rd characteristics in the sense that there is going to be a cutoff from south to north. And this isn't a question about, are we mixing or not? This will be all snow, but you have to get the snow. It could be too dry to snow. Wednesday, we're recording this on Tuesday, Wednesday, when this comes out, if you're listening to this Wednesday night or Thursday morning, go to our website, pressafac.com/weather. We'll have a full update for you. And then Mark is going to be out there on Twitter, hoping for the snow, following the models, see what we're going to have there. And again, that's Franz Weather, right? FRANZ Weather on Twitter.
That's it. Weatherman Franz.
Weatherman Franz. All right, there we go. Well, Mark, appreciate the time, my man. Thanks for hopping on. I know you had a crazy busy day, so thanks for hopping on. We're going to be back with you guys on the first Wednesday of the month. We're going to recap this month of January, and we might have to do a double episode. There's so much to talk about, but we'll be with New Jersey State climatologist / birthday buddy / weather dad, Dr. Dave Robinson. But Mark, thank you again for your time. We appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Joe.
Take it easy, man.
Thank you.